So I tell you, we've been talking about the climate. We've talked about Africa. And now we're going to come really and talk about our financial health and wellness. So it's my pleasure to bring on Ben James Brown, Vice President of Financial Health at Wells Fargo, and Mark Harris, Director of Education Activities for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, who is wearing that black and gold today. So
Yes, yes.
everybody in the Informer seem like all the men are well, except for one, are alpha. So they would be very, very happy to see you today, Mark. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And hopefully you've, saw some connections in some of our prior conversations. But let's talk about what the fraternity, what Alpha Phi Alpha is doing in the area of financial education. What is the Finance Academy that has been established?
All right. So in 2022, when we were initiated, I took over the role of Director of Educational Activities. And one of the mandates that we got from our chapter leadership and just the demands we've heard at large was the gaps of financial literacy. And so Ben James and I put our heads together. We came up with the Alpha Finance Academy, and we're using one of the parts of the program is the hands-on banking experience that Ben James will talk about. But we wanted to recognize that there's a heavy demand and pressure on teachers just to provide everything in the school day. And we wanted to push in as brothers just to give our expertise around financial education and also lend our presence in our various careers. And so we connect those two things, the hope of what you can become, and also the financial lessons that you need to kind of get to those steps. And also, we found that this program links children and the young people really to understand the sacrifices that their parents and others make for them through the experience. So this has really just been a 2 years worth of just going out and evangelizing this message.
But I mean, Ben James, maybe you can also sort of share, what initiated this idea? What was the impetus to say this is an area we need to focus on for young people? And who are those young people? Are they elementary, middle, high school?
Yeah, it's education for all. I mean, our aims are to improve the financial health of our young adults and youth, the same in the District of Columbia. And I'll say there are several programs out there that we have around economic empowerment, workforce development. But let's be real, you can have someone who's making $1 million and be $1 million in debt. Really good jobs and getting our youth prepared for what life is going to look like. But they don't know how to manage their funds. And so I think it's the one common language that we have, around the world is money and money management. And if you don't know, then unfortunately, you'll be one of those folks who are questioning all the time, what could I have done differently? And so the hands-on banking platform that the Omicron Eta Lambda chapter leverages, powered by Wells Fargo, is a real-world money management simulation. And it's designed for students, but it's designed for young adults as well that teach important financial education concepts, such as budgeting, comparing, shopping, evaluating needs, wants, trade-offs in a relevant and an engaging way. So we have a lot of fun. And during this activity, our students are assigned profiles that detail income, their careers, family information. You'll have some youth who will be married with 4 kids, and they have to go throughout this simulation, these 13 stations that mimic real life experiences and expenses such as clothing and groceries and housing. And at the end of the experience, we want them to come out with some money. Some don't, but it's a really great way to have conversations around this conceptually. And then for our adults and our college students, it's a really great way for them to reground themselves in what's most important and how do I start doing things a bit differently so that I can save and just have a different discipline in habit, around my money management.
So this is a digital platform, and
Yes.
is that what I'm hearing? Okay. And so
Yeah.
how would a young person, a parent, how do they engage with this? Do we just and I'm sure we're going to put that up in a minute, but Is there a website that we go to, or?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
handsonbanking.org
Okay.
offers an array of programs and presentations for teacher practitioners and for consumers alike to go on and get real world experience and tutorials around financial health and skills that they need to build. And anyone can use these. It's a free resource. It's educational. It's for non-commercial use, but it teaches these valuable skills. And the Omicron Eta Lambda chapter with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, we've taken this curriculum to bestow all of that knowledge into the schools that we serve. Specifically because it's Financial Literacy Month in April, Denise, what we are focused on is reaching 1,906 youth, our founding year, to make sure that those youth are educated around what's most important. And you have to start young. You know, when you think about equity in this world, I remember when my son first went to college and he got that first piece of mail that was a credit card. And I
Yes.
forgot that he just turned 18. And so I said, well, let's look at his credit score. He went and pulled up my FICO and he had a 700 credit score. Now, that's not the norm. The thing is, I was educated around what was going to help boost his credit when he was 12 and adding him onto my first credit card. So knowledge without, action doesn't equate to most. And you can't just educate someone around financial literacy and expect them to improve. It takes that action that's followed with it. And because I was able to do that for him, he was able to move that needle quite a bit. And then we were able to have a conversation about it. But we have so many youth, especially here in the District of Columbia, who are not armed with those resources. And
Right.
so this is where Alpha said, you know what, we can plant our feet in the ground and make a big impact for our students here in the District of Columbia, which is what we're doing today.
That's fantastic. Mark, did you want to add something?
Oh no, I just wanted to echo that financial literacy is vital to address those systemic socioeconomic disparities. And Alpha Phi Alpha, we develop leaders, promote brotherhood, academic excellence, and while providing service and advocacy. And financial literacy is a big service what we're doing with the Finance Academy, but it's also the advocacy, letting everyone know like we're doing this work with the students that are furthest from opportunity, but they need to see that, hey, the opportunities need to start coming in and that people want to work towards these opportunities. So, I mean, just when the opportunities come, we want to at least know that our students know what to do when that first credit card comes when they go to college, or they can at least remember the simulation and understand how these choices really make a difference, and not just seeing that big check and thinking, oh, I got this, X amount of money, that has to take care of all these needs. And again, after every scenario we've done, the students just are in awe of the real world because we've made it good for them, for a lot of them, and not despite the challenges they face. Like
Mm-hmm.
all intents and purposes, they don't always think about these things, and so they really appreciate it. I've not had one student that was bored or said this wasn't worth it. They really get engaged, and at the end, like Ben James said, when they don't have money, I just kind of say, well, it's unfortunate, that's life. But I also let them know that they can't judge or make any type of, because I'm like, that does happen. And it happens more often than not, like in the example that James said earlier. So this is a very essential program and I'm glad to be a part of it and, is keeping it going forward.
So it sounds like you do have schools that you're working with in the DMV. You want to tell us a couple of them?
Yes, we started with this in 2022 with Ron Brown College Prep High School. We've also been at Roosevelt High School, Columbia Heights Education Campus, Murch Elementary. So we've got elementary on there. We've got a couple of schools coming up that we're just we're trying to make sure we meet the demand because it's very
So
popular.
that was what I was going to ask. Is it that people reach out and say, look, we want you to have the program. We want to adopt this program at our school. Do they reach out to you and invite you in? Is that how it works? Okay.
Absolutely. And I'll say this is a really great platform for those who are listening if this is a need that you feel like your school would benefit from, and I think every school would benefit from something like this, that you can reach out to Mark or myself to make sure that we can get this on your campus. Teachers love this. And I think what's most important is this being delivered to youth, and they can see themselves in the folks who are delivering it. That makes such an impact and a difference in absorption of information. Again, you can't educate someone out of poverty. And so we need to make sure that that folks are able to see themselves in the folks who are presenting the information, and that they're doing it in a relevant, mindful, and deliberate, way. And I think that that's what the Alpha Finance Academy does for the students that we touch here in DC.
There are a lot of churches in the area too that are trying
Yeah,
to develop youth programs. Is this something that a church could do as well?
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
or organization that works with young people.
Any organization. And
Hmm.
so what we want to make it easy for them. And
Hmm.
so you can definitely tag an Alpha from the Omicron Eta Lambda chapter, where we can go out and we can deploy our resources, our time, dedicated to that organization, so that they can too get this type of information. But for anyone, again, across the nation, they can go to handsonbanking.org, and they can pull up this curriculum as well, so that they can have the same experiences that we're offering to the youth right here in the District of Columbia.
And for every organization or any organization that wants to utilize the program, would they have to have, or would a Alpha member be available to walk them through it, or can they do this on their own?
They can do it on their own,
Okay.
but I'll tell you, you know that, and Mark said it at the very beginning of this, almost 118 years of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence. The most important part of our fraternity is the providing service and advocacy for our community. So we want to be out there. We want to walk the walk and talk the talk, and we want to hold your hand through one of the most important things that folks need to learn, experience, and have savvy around, which is financial education.
Well, I know one of your uh, honorary, I won't say honorary, but one of your honored members would be so proud of what you were doing, because that's the path that he was on before he was unfortunately taken away from us. Is that's Dr. Martin Luther King, who talked about financial liberation and economic freedom. And so it sounds like you're walking the path that has been laid out for you, and providing that service to the community. We think, and I'm going to let you go in a minute, but because of the wide-ranging incidents that we're having throughout, not only in the district but across the country, with stores closing because kids are coming through and doing what kids shouldn't be doing, but what they do, not understanding the economics of it, right? So I'm thinking that this is one way of addressing that as well. When people recognize, what crime costs, and how that increases prices and makes things more difficult for those who want to do things the right way. I don't know if you get into that, but I mean, this the education to me really has a ripple effect, beneficial
It,
ripple effect.
it absolutely does. And I know we're short on time, but I'll tell you some of the stories that we share in the simulation. One of the examples that you just gave, when students are in a room, I typically go through and I count the price of shoes that they have on. And majority of the time, you have $1,000 in that room just in shoes from a couple of individuals. You have a couple of $1,000s inside of the classroom, and that couple of $1,000s is a down payment on a home. And folks, and then we start to talk about the value in home and how that can create generational wealth, and that you too can have it just with some additional focus and disciplines, and changes of your behavior right now. A lot of times they just don't know. And
Right.
so our opportunity is to be there to dispel some of these myths around what you can and cannot, do, that you can do it, and that we're here to help you along that journey.
Right. And to get rid of that excuse that there's a very valid one, and is that nobody ever told me.
Yeah.
So it's good that you all are there, that you have this program. I really hope folks will reach out and, take advantage of what the fraternity is doing. And I thank you so much for sharing it with our audience.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.
All righty. Well, you all have a good day. Go out there and help us to make some money.
We'll do.
And help to build our communities. All right. Take care.
Where do you come to get